I have a question from one of our colleagues regarding the protest movements in Israel by the center left. Do you see these protest movements as presenting some avenue of optimism in that the center of Israel has found more of a voice? What do you make of these movements regarding the Constitution and the building and the perhaps writing of a Constitution, and generally the voice of the left that seems to have emerged, at least to a certain degree?
Well, my friends are out there protesting, and I support them in the protest. But the fact of the matter is, the main thrust of the protest is very limited. It's for rights of Israeli Jews inside Israel. Very little concern for the crushing of Palestinians right next door. A little, you see, bits and pieces, but not a great deal. In fact, some of the heroes of the protest movement are some of the worst criminals, like Defense Minister Yoav Gallant or Benny Gantz. They're considered heroes of the protesters. You take a look at their record in Gaza, they should be facing the International Criminal Court. Vicious, brutal record. Unfortunately, these issues are much too dissociated. Not all. There are some among the protesters who are bringing them up. Take even the Supreme Court. Now defending the Supreme Court has become the top issue for the protesters, and they're right. If the Supreme Court is gone, Israel it'll be a much worse country, much more reactionary, much more brutal. On the other hand, the Supreme Court has a terrible record in the occupied areas. It'll occasionally delay an illegal settlement for a couple of months, then allow it through a backhanded way. It doesn't even recognize that it's an occupation. There's a lot of problems. In fact, if you may remember, I don't know if you've seen it, a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, roughly, Israel's major legal correspondent, Moshe Negbi, his name is, wrote a book called Kistom Hayinu. We were like Sodom. We were major criminals. It's all about legal and other corruption inside Israel. Does talk about the terrible record in the occupied territories, but there are real problems. So, yes, I think the protesters can maybe help fend off the worst, but it's not a protest that's going to the heart of the issues. I should also say something else. The popular support for the government is mostly what are called Mizrahi Jews, Arab Jews, Jews from the Arab countries. They've been very badly treated throughout the history of Israel. I've seen it myself. I could tell you stories about it. Israel for a long time was run by an Ashkenazi elite, people like us, educated, professional, secular, maybe left, center left, but harshly repressing the Jewish population, the Arab population of Arab origin, and they bitterly resented it. A lot of them are very religious, not all. There are groups like the Black Panthers that emerged about 40 years ago, I guess, trying to support the rights of Moroccan Jews and other protesters. That's a lot of support for Menachem Begin, oddly considering what he was. But those are factors we have to consider too. It's not, life is a complicated affair.